Since the first composed piece of music, there's always been some sort of motivation for a piece, whether that be to show anger, sadness, heartbreak, or even happiness. Music generally has a purpose in making the audience feel a certain way. One of these ways is to disturb the listeners or make them feel uneasy. Sometimes these examples are explicit, other times not so much, but that's where I come in. Today, we're going to be looking into songs with disturbing backstories, or more so, expanding Tuv's list of disturbing songs. You know, I thought I put the nail in the coffin last time, but Tuv went ahead and made a second video, so I guess I gotta make one as well. Now, I'm putting the nail in the coffin, Tuv, alright? You hear me. Unless you make another, and then I'm gonna have to... How many nails are gonna keep going in this coffin? And obviously, if you couldn't tell, background change. Still trying to figure out lighting and what I want to do with it. Like, I noticed a lot more, like, purples right here. I'll figure that out in due time. Anyway, though, let's hop into the video. Tool. Prison Sex. Our first song comes from a great band with arguably one of the most annoying fan bases imaginable, and that is Tool. I absolutely love their music, whether that be Lateralis or Anima. I totally dig their stuff, but just that freaking fan base, like, did you know that the Fibonacci sequence is in their song? If I had to isolate Tool and put it specifically into one genre, I would definitely define it as more prog metal than anything. There's a constant and ongoing debate on, like, what they most sound like in terms of, like, other groups, and I don't want to fuel this debate. Generally, I like to give recommendations, but, like, not for Tool. I'm gonna leave that alone. Anywho, in 1993, Tool would release their first album by the name of Undertow. The band is led by singer Maynard James Keenan, guitarist Adam Jones, drummer Danny Carey, and former bassist Paul D'Amour, who would leave the band roughly 2 years after the publication of the album. The album contains the song Prison Sex, which was the second single to be released before the launch of Undertow. The song, while already having a super creepy music video, is very disturbing, especially in terms of its lyrical content. The entire song discusses themes of SA that Maynard had to endure when he was a young boy, and it also discusses themes of the cycle that comes from abuse and how it's repeated and passed down. The lyrics basically tell the story of an abuser, how as they were growing up, they were constantly just getting, like, shoved around, pushed around, but then when they eventually got into adulthood and got their own power, basically just came full circle. And I think Maynard discusses this perfectly. The lyrical content, as I said, is very disturbing in a lot of ways, but I mean, it sends a really interesting message, and I think he does it perfectly. And it's also been cited that sometimes before the song actually was performed live, Maynard would actually have a little speech about the themes of the song in a way. You can actually have a listen right now.
The song's about recognizing, identifying cycles of abuse within yourself. It's the first step of the process. Realization, identifying. The next step is to work through it. But this song is about the first step in that process, which is recognizing.
The music video also closely follows what is being discussed within the song. In the music video, this black leathery creature is messing with this little doll thing throughout the entire music video. You can obviously see that the doll is in distress, doesn't like it, blah blah blah. And then eventually the doll actually captures this, like, wasp thing in a bottle, implying in a way that the cycle of abuse has continued, and now that the black leathery thing that was messing with the doll now has passed down that cycle of abuse, so now the doll has the potential to abuse further the little wasp thing in the jar. It's pretty interesting and very deep music video, in all honesty. Allow me to read out some of the lyrical content so that way you can kind of get an understanding of what is being shared within the song. It took so long to remember just what happened. I was so young and Vestal then. You know it hurt me, but I'm breathing, so I guess I'm still alive. Got my hands bound and my head down and my eyes closed, my throat's wide open. I found some kind of temporary sanity in this. Shit, blood and cum on my hands. I've come round full circle. Metallica 1. A lot of you guys were absolutely flaming me in the last video for not including this one, and I'm sorry. okay? It slipped my mind somehow. Somehow this one slipped my mind, okay? This is my redemption arc, though, all right? Don't be mad at me. Metallica can be generally categorized as being a thrash metal band. You can definitely argue that some of their later projects might have like pivoted away from that sound, but I don't think anyone would be batting any eyes if I called them a thrash metal band. I mean, have you heard Kill 'Em All? That quite literally pioneered the sound, but who knows? Maybe I'm about to get like 30,000 comments saying, actually, kid, I will say. If you really dig the sound of Metallica, I can give you a few recommendations to maybe get you started into like further different types of metal. I definitely would recommend Megadeth's Rust in Peace, maybe Pantera's Vulgar Display of Power, Slayer's Rain in Blood, and some tracks on this album have themes of thrash, so definitely check it out. It's worth your time. That's King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizards, Infest the Rat's Nest. That one is a really, really good album. All of those 4 albums I feel like would make you happy. They're all very thrashy. Some are like a little sludgier, doom-er in a way, but I mean, they're all really good. You're not going to go wrong with any of these albums, especially if you like early, like Kill 'Em All, Metallica. Maybe even like Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. Metallica's One comes from their classic album by the name of And Justice for All. This song details the horrors that come from wartime from the perspective of a soldier that basically lost it all. The song basically goes into detail about a soldier that stepped on a landmine that lost his arms, his legs, his jaw, his eyes, like basically anything that we could use to express ourselves, he lost it. The explosion left the soldier completely blind, unable to speak, and obviously unable to move. Not being able to see, not being able to speak, not being able to express yourself, not being able to move, that sounds like a hell that I just can't even fathom. That just sounds so utterly terrifying and haunting. And I feel like the song does a great job of explaining these horrors or going into detail about the horrors really well. I can't remember anything. Can't tell if this is true or dream. Deep down inside, I feel to scream. This terrible silence stops me. Fed through the tube that sticks in me, just like a wartime novelty. Tied to machines that make me be. Cut this life off from me. Trapped in myself, body my holding cell, landmine has taken my sight, taken my speech, taken my hearing, taken my arms, taken my legs, taken my soul, left me with life in hell. This song actually takes direct inspiration from the movie Johnny Got His Gun. This is why throughout the music video you can see like intermittent splices from the movie. It was basically just to wrap and tie everything together. Something that's also interesting is that because Metallica didn't want to pay royalties for using clips from the movie, they just decided to buy the rights. Like they just were like, all right, well, we're not paying royalties, so give me those rights. The movie, if you didn't know, is an anti-war film that discusses the life of a guy named Joe, who was a soldier who became a quadruple amputee and lost, basically as I was describing earlier, like all forms of expression. Doctors communicate with him via Morse code on his head, only to get some very disturbing messages. Throughout the movie, Joe is begging to die, and it's absolutely terrifying. I won't spoil the ending of the movie if you haven't seen it, but let's just say that his fate is something I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. While the movie is based on a novel that's fictitious in nature, there's actually some ties to a very real story of a guy by the name of Christian Curley. During the First World War, Christian was working on supply transport when suddenly a shell hit his cargo drop point. He would then be trapped under the debris for 2 days before being saved. There was an initial attempt to save Christian, but unfortunately the rescuers got gunned down, since I'm assuming it was like an active war zone. He was eventually saved though, but he had to have all 4 of his limbs amputated due to them being gangrenous in nature. Christian definitely wasn't as severely injured as his fictitious counterpart, but I mean, having arms and legs amputated isn't exactly on everyone's bucket list. I know a lot of people would probably be quick to say like, well, Christian's screwed for the rest of his life. That's it. You would be absolutely shocked, because I'm about to tell you, but like, it's insane what this man did. Okay, so Christian received prosthetics, so he was able to still like walk around and engage and stuff, right? He survived the war. He married the woman that helped him, like, with his recovery process, and he had a son named Douglas. And he did even more stuff, but that's just scratching the surface on what this man did. Due to the nature of his injuries, Christian had to be given a full-time caregiver. This actually led to his wife protesting the federal government to actually assist disabled soldiers, which then caused an establishment to be created named Attendance Allowance. The Attendance Allowance helps pay for personal care if you've reached the pension age and are disabled. Christian was basically a public figure that would advocate for causes that would allow for care for amputees and disabled veterans. Whew. Okay, a lot of information for just one song right there. We're moving on though, I promise. We're gonna move into our next song now. Manic Street Preachers, 4 Stone, 7 Pounds. I think I fangirled about Manic Street Preachers before, so I'm gonna save all the fangirling and not do that this video. Sorry, y'all. Manic Street Preacher's sound is kind of unique in a way. I would definitely classify it as rock in some regard, but I really don't have any album recommendations that could follow. I'm sorry, like I really don't know like what sounds like Manic Street Preachers. 4 Stone 7 Pounds comes from the album The Holy Bible. The reason the album is named this way is actually because Richie Edwards said that this album needed to be to a perfection. Richie Edwards being one of the singer, songwriter, and guitar players in the band. He had this to say in an interview in regards to the album's name. The way religions choose to speak their truth to the public has always been to beat them down. I think that if a holy Bible is true, it should be about the way the world is, and that's what I think my lyrics are about. The album doesn't pretend things don't exist. The reason Richie says my lyrics like that is because he actually wrote 3/4 of the album's lyrics. Yeah, that like it was practically all him. So I feel like he kind of has the right to say like, yeah, my lyrics. I feel like he's earned that. Richie actually suffered very heavily from a lot of mental illness, drug abuse, and would actively engage in self-injurious activities frequently. And you can imagine with all of these factors, this would lead to a very dark mindset and maybe even lead to a dark album. And I can absolutely confirm the fact that this album is very dark. And one topic being featured on 4 Stone 7 Pounds is actually the theme of anorexia. The song discusses a teenage girl who is experiencing some type of advanced stage anorexia. The lyrics describe her wanting to be so skinny that she rots from view. This is a direct tie to Richie due to the fact that he struggled with anorexia himself. In interviews, he even went into detail about his struggles with anorexia, how much he weighed, and how much it affected him. If you're unfamiliar with what 4 Stone 7 Pounds even refers to, that's basically the weight in which death is like medically unavoidable. So once you get there, it's just, you're kind of just waiting out the clock at that point. I feel like I've talked about the themes enough. Here are some of the lyrics from the song itself. Cheeks sunken and despaired, so gorgeous, sunk to 6 stone, lose my only remaining home, see my 3rd rib appear, a week later all my flesh disappears. I want to walk in the snow and not leave a footprint. I want to walk in the snow and not soil its purity. The Smiths, Suffer Little Children. Ah yes, male manipulator music, my favorite type of music. The Smiths is an indie rock group that formed in 1982, and while they are commonly associated with people that relate to Tyler Durden and Patrick Bateman a little bit too much because they're literally me, I assure you that the band's good. I assure you that their music's good, okay? I promise, please. If you're looking for something similar to the Smiths, I would highly encourage you to listen to The Cure's Wish. I think that one has a lot of similar sounding songs on it. Similar sounding in a way. I would also maybe even recommend like Radiohead's The Bends. I feel like that album has a few splashes of it, and maybe in like High and Dry and like Black Star. I feel like those songs have a lot of the Smiths vibe in them. But I would say like sonically, if you're looking for an album that sounds pretty similar, just go for The Cure's Wish. I feel like that one would be right up your alley. Anyway though, Suffer Little Children is an absolutely messed up song because it ties directly into the murders of innocent people, and on top of that, it even names the frickin' victims in the song. The song makes explicit reference to the pair of murderers known as the Moors murderers. The pair is absolutely infamous due to the heinous nature of their crimes, which is taking the lives of 5 children ages from 10 to 17. And to tack on even more baggage, 4 of the victims were SA'd, and there was actually a tape that was found that contained the final moments of one of the victims. The killers actively wanted to relive what they had done through, like, the tape. Absolutely disturbing. A very, very disturbing pair. Understandably, this song was absolutely controversial the second it released. It was cited as being exploitative by families of the victims and just your average listeners. It actually got so bad that some stores just flat out refused to shelve anything the Smiths related, which, I mean, honestly based. Slight jokes aside though, I can absolutely understand why no one would want to listen to something like this. I mean, listening to a song about innocent children that had their lives taken by a pair of disturbed individuals, I can understand why people might not want to hear that, you know? Here's a few of the lyrics from the song itself. Over the moor, take me to the moor, dig a shallow grave and I'll lie me down. Leslie Ann, with your pretty white beads. Oh John, you'll never be a man, and you'll never see your home again. Edward, see those alluring lights? Tonight will be your very last night. System of a Down, Pluck. And our last song comes from one of my personal favorite metal bands, and that is System of a Down. This band absolutely rocks. If you somehow have never heard this band, I highly encourage you to do so. System of a Down is pretty political in a lot of ways, especially when you read their lyrics. Somehow, people don't read the lyrics of the songs that they sing, and they might miss that a band might be political. Rage Against the Machine fans. Since all of the band members are of Armenian descent, the group is very outspoken about their views on the Armenian genocide of 1915 that was perpetuated by the Turkish government. Pluck and Holy Mountain are both songs that detail the genocide, but we're only going to be looking at Pluck. The song is actually an acronym that stands for Politically Lying, Unholy, Cowardly Killers. Sometimes before playing the song, they'll actually do a speech that mourns the lives of the innocent people that were lost during the genocide.
I want to dedicate the next song to the victims of the Armenian genocide of 1915, perpetrated by the government of Turkey.
All throughout the song, there's many connections that discuss the genocide itself, and I mean, I don't really know how to allude to the lyrics without just outright explaining them, so I'm going to be boring. Have a look at the lyrics. A whole race, genocide, taken away all of our pride. A whole race, genocide, taken away, watch them all fall down. Revolution, the only solution, the armed response of an entire nation. Revolution, the only solution. We've taken all their shit, now it's time for restitution. And with all of that being said, that brings us to the end of songs with the most disturbing backstories. I'm absolutely passionate about music, so thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to discuss songs that I find interesting and, in all honesty, had a history that even I didn't know about. I'd also like to thank Tove for the inspiration and, you know, obviously hence the second video for this. But anyway, if there's any songs that you think I'd missed and you would like to see them in a potential future video, which totally won't happen because I've put the nail in the coffin, right? Feel free to let me know in the comments below. And before we hop in the end segment though, I would like to thank my Tormented Knights and my Knighted patrons. For my Tormented Knights, we have Andrea, EB Agent J, Nee, Willow, Shyla. And for my Knighted patrons, we have Cherisy, Emma, Envy, Jessica, Lucas, Raven, Shizen, Teddy, Timo. Thank you guys so much for your support. It honestly means so much to me. Thank you all. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed the video, why not like and subscribe? It definitely helps me out. If you didn't though, why not dislike and let me know what I can improve on for next time. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you all in the next one.